Hello, Patrick.
Hello.
Hello, Pat.
Okay, I've got 6:31 p.m. as the time. The date is December 17th, 2025, and I hereby declare this meeting of the Nahant Board of Selectmen to order. Uh, for our opening, we have comments regarding the Christmas tree sales at Lowland's parking lot. Tree sales will be held Thursdays and Fridays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturdays and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tree sales will continue until December 20th. That's getting close. Or until trees are sold out. I did get a message saying that there are 30 trees left, so use that wisely. We have our annual Christmas parade Saturday, December 20th, starting at 6 p.m. from the village church. We have our winter parking ban in effect starting December 21st through March 20th. All cars must be removed from the street between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. If you need a winter parking pass, please visit the police station. Certain fees will apply. And I want to add also, I've noticed some people having trouble finding out how to apply. The town website does point to the Nahant Police Department official website where you will find the application. Can't. Um, so let's see. Annual Freezing for a Reason, Polar Plunge, Thursday, January 1st, 2026, beginning at 11 a.m. at Short Beach. This is a free event and open to anyone who wants to join. And finally, we have an update regarding trash pickup. This trash pickup and recycling will be a delay the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's. Thursday pickup moves to Friday, and Friday pickup moves to Saturday. New business? Allison? Oh, no, that's okay. We'll keep going. New business, we have a vote to appoint full-time police officers to the Nahant Police Department, sorry. And I will move the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Michael Baez as a full-time police officer with the Nahant Police Department. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
I would
All
ask,
right.
I would ask a question if I could. Does that change the shift numbers, the addition of two officers? Does that take a two-person shift or two-officer shift and make it a three?
No, Mr. Canty, unfortunately, it does not. I do apologize for no video for tonight. I'm actually at my son's hockey game, so I'm in
No,
Somerville. No,
great.
we are currently down two people. So with the appointments of these two police officers tonight, we're going to be back to fully staffed,
Okay,
partially. But Mr. Baez, happy to report that he's going to be a transfer from out of state, and we just received word today that his waiver was approved by the state. So he just basically has to drive back up from Atlanta to come back home. He's originally from Lynn. He comes to us with a ton of experience. He's in the City of Atlanta Police Department, which you can imagine is very busy. He's also military. He did his time with the National Guard, I believe it was. So he definitely comes to us. He's actually even SWAT trained through the PD. So ton of experience. We had to jump through some hoops to get him here, but I'm happy to report that he's good to go.
excellent.
Okay, thank you, Chief Furlong. Anyone else? Okay, a roll call vote.
Gene Canty, aye.
Pat O'Reilly, aye.
And Rob Tibbo, aye. Welcome, Officer Baez. Next motion, I will move the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Brittany Lee Dunbar as a full-time police officer with the Nahant Police Department. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Chief?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, unfortunately, Brittany doesn't have any law enforcement experience. She's coming from us to us from administrative role. However, she is active as a youth hockey coach. She's also a competitive shooter, so she wants to get on a local police department somewhere. She has interests from state law enforcement, federal law enforcement, but I guess her heart is with local. She wants to give back to a community and get back into coaching. So we're happy to bring her on. Unfortunately, she won't be able to go into the academy until April, but we can definitely put her to use on the desk where you're going to send her to dispatch training, 911 schools. So that will fill a void until April.
Oh, that's great news. And Chief, she is from Swampscott,
Correct. She's local from Swampscott.
local. So yeah, she's a local person. That's wonderful. Okay. So anyone else? Roll call vote.
Gene Canty, aye.
Pat O'Reilly, aye.
And Rob Tibble, aye.
Thank you guys for the support. I just want to throw in there that our K9 officer has successfully completed the K9 Patrol Academy as of this week. So he'll be back to us to further fill the ranks, and we'll have a four-legged partner with him.
That's great. I actually saw the vehicle, the cruiser on the not on the causeway, on the expressway the other day. It looked like they were coming up from the South Shore. Had the stickers on the back for
they
K9.
train all over the place.
Okay, very good.
Yep, they train all over the place. Mansfield, just you name it.
Nice. Chief, will you be able to join us a little later here? Still?
Yep, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to mute
Okay,
myself and go
great.
back
Thank
into
you.
the rink.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see. We have a vote to approve Board of Selectmen meeting minutes with Board of Selectmen executive session meeting and executive session meeting minutes. I make a motion that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from November 5th, 2025 and December 3rd, 2025, and the executive session meeting minutes from December 8th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second,
Discussion? Roll call vote.
Gene Canty, aye.
Pat O'Reilly, aye.
And Rob Tibble, aye. We have a vote to surplus DPW equipment and a vehicle. And I will move that the Board of Selectmen vote to declare the DPW 2012 Ford F550 dump truck and the 2005 John Deere skid steer, which is a Bobcat, known as a Bobcat, as surplus, and they be placed on Munich bid for auction per Mass General Laws, Chapter 30B, procurement law. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Discussion. Roll call vote.
Gene Canty, aye.
Pat O'Reilly, aye.
And Rob Tibble, aye. We've got an additional item here, discussion regarding our water service lines project. This involves the identification and replacement of lead service lines to homes in Nahant. And Zach Taylor is on board with us here to give us an update.
Thanks, Rob. Can you hear me?
Yep, gotcha, Zach. Good, thank you.
So last year, EPA passed some regulations requiring all cities and towns nationwide to inventory their water service pipes to figure out the material of each of the pipes in town. So over the last year, we've inventoried all the pipes using historic records, our existing GIS. So we have an inventory going, but unfortunately, we still have a lot of unknowns based on some of the limited information we have. So each year, towns are required to send out letters to people who are still either unknown or have confirmed lead or galvanized pipe. So those letters are going out this week, and I just wanted to come on and answer any questions that you guys have on the letters themselves, on the inventory, any questions on going forward. So basically each year we work to try to identify each of the unknowns that we have, and each year the list of the unknowns gets less and less, and the letters will get less and less. But it's just a requirement every year to send out the letters to inform residents that they do have an unknown pipe. It doesn't mean that it is lead, but it's certainly there's a possibility that it could be. That's why the letters are going out. And then in terms of identification of the water line or the service line on the customer end, we are going through a water meter project. And during the water meter project, we plan on identifying all of the customer side of the service line. The utility side or the town side of the service line is a little bit more challenging because you don't have direct access to it, where you do have direct access to the residential side in the basement. It requires potholing, some digging, things like that, where you can't identify it based on existing records. So over the next year, EPA plans on coming out with recommendations and requirements for replacement of lead and galvanized lines, and some additional requirements on identification of unknowns.
What do you replace it with? Copper?
Yes, copper or plastic, typically copper. So we don't think we have a lot of lead in town. We just don't have really good records. The lead ban was passed in 1986. So if you have a house that was built prior to 1986, there is a possibility that the service could be lead. But what we've been finding is a lot of copper lines and a lot of brass lines. Being on the coast, a lot of times they would use brass historically, just because it held up better to the salt environment. And that's typically what we've been finding.
I have a question. What's the plan going forward to identify the unknowns?
So we're continuing to go through old plans and trying to figure out, put dates on all of the existing water mains. So if you can date the water main, typically the standard practice was to replace the service as you're replacing the main. So we can rule out, we've been able to rule out entire streets on the utility side end. You have to get into the basement to get either do a scratch test or a visual test to figure out the residential side. So with the water meter project going out, and the plan is to do the replacement this summer, we'll be able to identify 100% of the residential side of the water lines. Like I said, the utility side or the town side is a little bit more tricky. A lot of our plans are like single paper copies, so I have to go find those and, like I said, date the line based on those plans. We have a lot of lines that were done in-house, where there wouldn't be a formal engineering set. So we're trying to figure out how much we can use historic knowledge and how far that goes to identifying the pipes. But there are some technologies that send some type of robot or camera that can go down and sense what they are, but it's extremely expensive. Digging is going to be expensive as well if they do require you to identify them all. But funding should, funding should be in place this year to start helping out with the identification.
Do you have any sense of what are the numbers on the unknowns right now on the street side?
On the street side, I'd have to look it up. In terms of like fully unknown, so if you have a water service line with, the town side is copper,
Right.
but the residential side is unknown, you still have to classify that whole line as unknown.
Oh, okay.
So even though we've been able to eliminate entire streets on the town side, we still haven't been able to obtain information on the residential side. A lot of our residential service tie information was limited. We have historic little index cards that show a service being put in 1953. Some of the service cards just had names, a street and a name, so no number. So we had to go back and figure out who lived where on the street. So it was a tricky process, but we're going through it, and it's important to do. It was never required before of anybody to have an inventory. So like I said, every single town and city is going through the same thing.
And just one more question. Once that's inventoried, does that go into JIS information? How does that get stored for the future
It
use?
does. So every line that we've identified is currently in our GIS. And then as we identify more and more, they get put into the GIS as well. So it will be in a main database. And that the database or the spreadsheet is also available at Town Hall if anybody's interested in looking at what their pipe is or anything like that. It will also be available on Mass DEP's website. So every single city and town inventory is available online.
Zach, isn't there a chance some of these could also be identified in the water meter project?
Yes, yes. So we're going to use the water meter project. So they'll have like a GIS tablet in every single water meter that they install. They're going to identify the material of the service line. So we should be able to eliminate 100% of the unknowns and figure out if we have any lead or galvanized services out there.
Excellent.
It's tricky too with the funding because typically ownership of the water line from a curb stop valve, which is basically on the edge of your property to the home, is owned by the homeowner. The section between the curb stop and the actual water main is owned by the town. So it's going to get tricky with funding and how you pay for replacements and things like that. I think we're going to be on the very low end of lead and needing to replace lines, but there are communities out there with tens of thousands of confirmed lead lines that are going to need to be replaced. It's going to be really, really expensive.
Okay, any questions from anyone?
Not here.
Patrick, you're all set?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Zach.
Thanks.
Thanks, Zach.
Okay, let's see. Next item is a vote to approve annual liquor licenses, entertainment licenses, common victualler licenses, and used car dealership licenses. Let's see, this is starting out with a liquor license vote.
Can I interrupt
Sure.
before we even get into it? And I know I should know this, and because we've done it before, but in the past it's been done differently. And I'm looking at what's the process for liquor license or license inspections? Who does it? When? How often do they do it? What is the process itself?
Well, Gene, you might have some information in your email. I think it might be from today, both from Rich Baldacci, our commissioner, building commissioner, and from Chief Antrim, our fire chief. One from the building inspector is titled "The Annual Code of Compliance Inspections for Liquor Licenses." And from the fire department, we have the annual fire safety inspection for liquor licenses. If in those letters that we received, we see that there were no violations noted. Looking at some of the data that they supplied, there obviously are recommendations that have been made, and I think that they'll be looking for some changes as far as at least reporting on some of these safety systems that are in place, whether it be a sprinkler system or fire detection system or something along those lines. They are, I know Chief Antrim is indexing those reports so that for a quick reference. Actually, Chief Antrim, if you'd like to speak on this.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, so we inspect all these properties annually. In those inspections, we check, we make sure that the fire alarm systems, sprinkler systems kitchen hood cleaning and kitchen hood suppression systems are all being inspected annually and maintained at least annually, and also fire extinguishers. So several years ago, a former chief had implemented this online program called the Compliance Engine. He had reached out to the the property owners, and they're responsible for having their vendors submit their reports to an online system. So it makes it easier for us to access and assess them. And that has sort of fallen off in a few years. I wasn't sure if we we're going to keep the system, but it does seem to make sense, because it just makes everything easier to sort of access. So there has been some issues with some of the vendors not submitting the report. So that's largely the issues we'll be dealing with in the coming year. Just trying to get everybody on the same page with the reporting. But yeah, overall, all of the businesses have been doing a great job at making sure that all of their systems are maintained and operating as they should.
Good. That's good to hear. And Robbie, I didn't get a copy of that.
Okay, Allison, I'm sure we could dig a copy out and get it over to Jean.
Yep, I'll forward that over. Kristen should have, but if she didn't, I will forward it.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Let's see. So we have a vote to approve the annual liquor licenses, entertainment licenses. Yeah, we already read that. I'm going to make a motion. I move that the Nahant Board of Selectmen vote to approve the following liquor license renewal applications for calendar year 2026 to be approved by the ABCC. The Nahant Tennis Incorporated at 280 Nahant Road, a club license, all alcoholic beverages. The Nahant Knights of Columbus Building Association Incorporated, 17 Relay Yard, club license, all alcoholic beverages. R&B Management LLC, One Willow Road Restaurant. It has a restaurant license, all alcoholic beverages. Atlantic Functions Incorporated, DBA Ocean View, 0 Willow Road, general on-premises license, all alcoholic beverages. Seaside Variety Corporation, doing business as Seaside Variety, 141 Nahant Road, package store license, all alcoholic beverages. Tides Nahant Incorporated, 2B Wilson Road, restaurant license, all alcoholic beverages. Victoria Hall Bayside LLC, doing business as Victoria Hall Bayside, 1 Southwick Avenue, restaurant license, all alcoholic beverages. Nahant Veterans Association, 96 Nahant Road, club license, all alcoholic beverages. And further, that the release of said licenses are subject to the approval of all inspections, which we just went over. Payment of all outstanding fees, fines, and payments to the town of Nahant, and all documents required by the ABCC have been submitted, and authorize the town administrator to sign the licensing authority certification form. Do I hear a second?
Second.
That brings us to discussion. Chief Furlong, are you still with us?
Sorry, yes, I am.
Thank you. Thank you. Chief, as you know, there's some discussion regarding the license for the Bayside, and there seems to be a perception that the Bayside is not being adequately managed, I guess would be a way of putting it. So could you offer your thoughts as far as anything that you see that is different about the Bayside versus, say, our other entertainment venues, such as the Ocean View or the Tides?
Yeah, so as you know, we've had meetings with the Bayside. To my understanding, they have gone above and beyond trying to mitigate any issues that arise at that facility. They've hired their own security, parking lot attendants. I understand they're in the process of soundproofing their windows and maybe their doors, or their walls rather. But as far as I can tell, it's status quo. They're no more of a burden than any of any other function hall in town. All the calls for service. I did a little research yesterday in preparation for this meeting. Emergency calls for service, they're of the lower end. The other function halls, Kelly Greens, they have far higher emergency calls for service. I know there was a question of a medical aid that happened at the Bayside. Medical aids happen everywhere. Ocean View, you name it, they happen everywhere. It just happens. Any emergency calls for service that we responded to the Bayside, we dealt with appropriately, and there was no further action needed. They have been nothing but great to work with, I will say, and I don't see them being as a burden on the Nahant Police Department any more so than any other function hall.
Well, thank you for that. And you find them cooperative when there's a complaint about the noise and such? Do they don't give you any pushback as far as turning down the noise or something like that?
They do not. And I'll say all the calls for service that we go there for are not alcohol related. They're certainly not over serving that we can tell. They're not serving minors that we know of. I don't think the liquor licenses should be in question here. That's my professional opinion.
Okay. Is it common for one of these facilities to have both their own private security and hire a police detail for an event?
Common maybe in other towns, but the other function halls throughout our town typically just hire a police detail.
Very good.
Chief,
Anything else, Chief?
who does the scheduling for details? Is that a one inside, one outside, or 2 or 3 officers?
So typically it's just one police officer and they're positioned inside the facility.
And a lot of the activity we're hearing about is on the exterior.
Some of it, yes, but that detail officer just steps outside and deals with it.
Is that something we could make a suggestion or a requirement to have 2 officers on?
Well, the caveat to that is I am unable to find in our bylaws anywhere that mandates police details at these function halls. The ownership, the management, they usually do it just to protect and cover themselves.
So, and to Gene's question, I feel a little uneasy as far as requiring, given the reference as you did, Chief, to the Bayside as far as their management and such. I would feel uncomfortable telling them that they had to do something different from any of the other venues when in fact the other venues. I mean, why wouldn't we do it for make the same requirement, say at the Ocean View?
I would support that statement.
Okay, thank you.
The other venues are not experiencing what we're alleged to hear. So I would clearly understand that if people were requesting more than less.
Well, I don't necessarily think that we're getting more calls for service at the Bayside is my gist. We're getting the same, if not more, at the other function halls.
Well, we also hear or read or get involved in these complaints. There's supposedly 93 complaints within a year's period of time. Is that or is that not? And who gets those complaints, and are they legitimate?
I don't have the numbers in front of me. Like I stated, I'm not at my office, so I don't have the numbers in front of me. But you just said 93. I also heard 80 something the other day, so I don't have an accurate number for you.
Yeah, I guess we can use it as a window to have discussion, but okay.
Just get to Gene's comment. I did go through the police log that you sent me, Chief, and we had two. It was 2 versions. There was one from January 1st to July 29th, and the other one was July 30th to December 14th. The January to July, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 complaints that were investigated, and several of them, and I'm happy to name them, had nothing to do with the Bayside. It's a noise complaint about a car parked in the parking lot at 6 o'clock in the morning. That the Bayside was closed. So, that's I don't we could even make that number lower if we go with the other reference, July 30th to December 14th. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, loud music, noise, plenty of that as far as, and in each case, I have to say that when the complaint came in, the investigating officer asked them to turn down the noise, and they turned it right down from what I can see, and I think you validated that.
Yes.
I'm not seeing the numbers, and that's very uncomfortable for me. So I think we ought to move very, very cautiously here
Well, why is that uncomfortable?
because I'm not seeing the numbers, Gene. I don't see. I know what's alleged. I can't validate that. Maybe the people who are saying that there's far more can produce the evidence supporting that. But I'm based on the what the police department has supplied me as far as incident reports involving with referencing the Bayside. These over the past year to date, those numbers aren't there. And I can only tell you what's in the police log.
Interesting.
So can I have a question, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely, Patrick. And thank you, Chief.
Well, I was for Chief.
Oh,
Rob.
okay. I'm sorry.
So how are the noise complaints investigated? I know there's been some talk about not having a noise ordinance and not being able to enforce anything from an objective standpoint. So I hear you that it's, you and Rob talking about they're accommodating and turning the volume down, but how is that handled? What's the procedure, and what are we relying upon legally to enforcement?
Well, the legal aspect, I'll let Dan Script talk on that, but we get there. I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, the music is not overly loud. Some of the officers often shut their radio off. They put their the windows down as they pull into the lot, and they don't hear the complaint that was reported to us. Sometimes in that scenario, sometimes they'll touch base with the Bayside just to let them know that they got a complaint. Other times they won't hear it, and they'll clear the area. If they do respond and the noise is noticeable on the outside, they will talk to the function staff, and again, 9 times out of 10, they'll turn it down.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything further?
Yeah, how can so many people be involved, residents involved in trying to quiet this down or put it in a situation where they don't have to be aggravated or agitated on a regular basis, and to only come out and say, well, maybe that's not really happening? It doesn't make sense.
Well, Gene, how many do you think there are? What's
I
your
don't
estimate as
know.
far as how many people there are?
It's interesting, Bobby, and that is, I was thinking to myself, how do we answer all these questions without having the involvement of the residents? But first of all, I'm thinking maybe we table this and have a discussion, a hearing, so people can voice their opinion and possibly go away confident that everything is being done that should be done.
So I had some thoughts on that also, if I can chime in.
Sure.
Rob. Yeah. So I was, I think it's where there's smoke, there's sometimes fire. So I think we've seen a number of comments. I think 7 letters from residents suggesting that we should do something. Not always, there was not clarity of what we should do, but suggesting we should do something. I don't feel like we're in a good position tonight. And I think we'll hear from, I see Jen and her hand up, and I think we should hear from Jen and a few other people tonight. So maybe we'll be in a better position to take some action. But my suggestion, I think, is going to be, depending on what we hear, is going to be that we amend the motion to don't second me yet, anybody, but amend the motion to subject that particular license to a review by March 31st, so that we can at least check in on the progress that's being made. I didn't want to put labels on it like probation, but at least have a subject to a review by March 31st. So that gives us like a 90-day review, where we can assess the progress working with the neighbors. I heard today about some physical improvements to the Bayside that will, be some soundproofing, but those haven't been done yet. So I think we'll be in a better position to evaluate that in 90 days. And I saw one suggestion about, not approving a liquor license renewal. I don't think we're in a position to do that either. So I think we need to get more information and make some evaluations.
Good recommendation, Patrick.
Pat, Mr. Chairman, may I chime in for 1 second?
Yes, please.
To Pat's credit, we always have the local licensing authority, which is the BOS in this circumstance, always has the ability to revoke a license anytime throughout the year. So I think that's what Patrick is getting at, in that we can informally tell Bayside, hey, listen, we're going to relook at this on March 31st, or whatever date you pick, and then we will assess the possibility of revoking a license. I don't think Pat is suggesting we deny it tonight,
No.
but rather just saying, hey, listen, we're going to look at this again in a few months. Correct me if
Yeah,
I'm wrong, Pat.
I am suggesting that we put it in writing as
Yeah, that's fine.
as a condition on the license, but I'm also suggesting that we're not going to revoke it as of today. I don't think I'm not comfortable with I think we have to, under the law, show cause. It can't be arbitrary, and we have to evaluate and make sure that it's in keeping with our function. So we would have to go through that anyway. We'd have to go through that investigation. We do have wide discretion, but personally, I don't want to use that power too soon without establishing a good basis for doing so.
Would we be allowing for a public hearing to give these people an opportunity to discuss this openly?
Yeah, and I think we've got hands up tonight. So I think, Rob, is it our intention to allow public comment tonight? I know there was some discussion about that.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say a couple things here before I get to that. First is that I'm very concerned about pitting neighbor against neighbor. I know we have some people here who live in the immediate area who aren't bothered by whatever noise there might be. Whereas obviously we have others who are bothered by it. So I'm very conscious of that and very concerned about it. The other is that I really don't understand the focus on the liquor license. No one has drawn a direct line between whatever complaints we might have and the consumption of liquor. We just heard the chief of police say that these people, from to their standpoint, as far as anybody who might be causing trouble, there's no alcohol component that come into it. We're going to another license we're going to be voting tonight is the entertainment license. If the issue is primarily the result of, say, a DJ having the speakers turned up too loud, and the noise complaints seem to be the predominant issue, then maybe we should be doing something on the entertainment license side as far as coming up with a solution with respect to controlling the amount of noise. Maybe there's a way that we can find a balance here. as far as measuring the amount of noise that's, we could put this on hold, well, table it or whatever you want to call it, while we determine if there's a happy medium here between neighbors and the operators of the facility as far as how many decibels they can pump out from their speakers before the neighbors become concerned.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, but does time become an element here? You've got your closing times for both sides, entertainment and liquor, are 1 a.m. And that become last call at 1 a.m. that continues on till 2? And who controls or measures that?
Well, that might be another subject we can discuss, but focusing on why we're going for the liquor and not the entertainment still remains open to me. But to your comment, Gene, I believe what the management of the Bayside is going to tell us that even though they have a license that allows them to be open and functioning until 1 a.m. in the morning, I think they're closing up shop around 10. And I might not have that exactly correct. But yeah, this is something that we need to iron out.
Yeah, and just on the timing, I was reviewing the all the facilities, all the licenses, the entertainment and liquor license closing times and opening times earlier today, and all my discussions before today were, we should treat everyone equally. All these facilities are in residential neighborhoods, and we should be, setting times accordingly. And my assumption was that they were, but it looks like all facilities have unique opening and start and closing times for the licensing, at least. That can certainly be true of the business, but the licensing itself is there's a number of times that are just outliers, and I'm not. I asked earlier, Kristen, if we had any history on that. I think there was one-time change last year, but on one of the licenses. But our light. I think that's something that we need to look at. Given the late timing in this yearly cycle, and the fact that we'd need to get a little bit of feedback from each of these license holders about the license times. I don't think that's practical to try to make that uniform this year, but I think that's something we need to look at because there's just some very strange outliers here in the scheduling. 7:45 a.m. start time for one facility and 8 a.m. from 10 a.m. 12 noon. I'm not even sure where to get a drink at 10 a.m. On a Sunday. So
By 8 o'clock.
Golf course.
Golf course. There you go. That's a trick question. I was just trying to get you to say where. But I think that actually undermines the argument that I think we were going to have about trying to treat everybody the same, because these schedules are not the same across these facilities. So.
No.
So.
Okay, can I just put Rob? You made one point about the alcohol, and I do want to address that because there is some people do get loud when they drink. So I don't, and they get boisterous, and it's not just necessarily the music. I think that's at issue, but also the shouting and the whatever's going on at a big event. So I think there is a reason to make some linkage there. I don't know what your experiences are, but I think I've seen enough of that happen in my life that there is added noise to drinking. That said, if the appropriate thing is to do both the entertainment and liquor licenses, if I'd have to look at what the conditions would have to be there.
Well, Patrick, my comment regarding the noise is I absolutely agree with you as far as the general behavior of people in that sort of venue. But I'm looking at the complaints that were registered with the police department, and predominantly it has to do with noise. And the comment as far as the investigating officer on just about all of them is they spoke with the management and they turned it down. So that's where I am. It's,
Right. But to turn it down, it had to be up in the first place. And I know when from my college days when the police walked in, everybody got a little quieter too. So it's
yeah, but I mean, turn it down to me is that somebody went over to the DJ and said, you got to turn the speaker down a little bit.
sure.
And that's what I see as the most frequent comment. I don't see that the patrons were turning it down. I see that the DJ is turning it down. But you know what? I'd like to hear from a few people here, if everyone's amenable to that. Pat and Jean, you're okay with that?
Sounds good.
All right. I'd like to keep the comments to 3 minutes if we could. And first, I would like to hear from James. I believe James is the attorney for the Bayside.
That's correct. Thank you. Good evening to all the members of the board and everybody in attendance here. I'd like to pick up on what you just said. You know, one of the things that the police are expert at in my over 27 years is when they respond to a complaint, they don't just take note of the noise. If they have anything, members of the board, that would indicate to them that somebody is intoxicated or had been overserved or had any issue related to alcohol, that's in one of the first things that they would put in any report. And I think that you picked up on that very astutely, that the absence of that in any of this. I'd also like to thank Chief Furlong for his comments in referencing his work with my clients, stating that they're great to work with, cooperative. There's been no pushback, and there are no alcohol-related incidents. And in fact, that the Bayside is not in any way, not only not worse, but not as bad as any other function hall. So I appreciate those comments, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here because my clients really want to reach out and work with the people in the community. The owner of the company also lives in Nahant, and he wants to be a good neighbor. So I want to update everybody that's here as to reference has been made earlier about some plans and some improvements. And one of the things that was said is that the improvements haven't occurred yet. And that's true in one sense. They haven't all occurred, but some action has already been taken. They've recently, as recently as last week, added spray foam insulation under a part of the building that will that I believe encompasses an area around the dance floor that's going to dramatically reduce the noise. They've also applied for a building permit with the town to be able to do a complete renovation of the windows. Right now you have operable windows and they're going to be replaced with inoperable windows. So when they're not able to open the windows, that's going to also significantly reduce any noise complaint. They've also going to be adding soundproofing material in addition to that. These things are going to take some time, though. So I think it makes sense to see how we are down the road. But I would agree with, I think, the overall tenor of the board. It doesn't make sense to address a liquor license for a non-liquor problem. And I don't think we should have to address the entertainment license at this point, because my clients desperately want not only to fix whatever problems exist, but they want to reach out and they want to have conversations with any of their neighbors that are affected by this. They have an open door policy. One of the things and the reasons they've hired me is to try to facilitate between neighbors and management. Because for whatever reason, I don't know if there's a disconnect or just a lack of a connection, but they're certainly willing to have meetings with anybody. In fact, what they wanted to do is have me send out certified letters to anybody that that had a complaint to schedule meetings. So I think, you know, not only are the plans, they've also submitted to council and to the town, I think, engineering plans for their soundproofing, and those will be available to anybody that wants to take a look at them. This is not something that management is not taking seriously, in spite of the evidence from the police, the chief of police, and several others on their behalf that that the complaints are no worse than any other function hall. It doesn't matter to them. They want to be good neighbors, and they want to take care of these things as they come up. So I think my point tonight is to impress upon you that that's the case, that they want to deal with these issues. It's not a question of them coming and being confrontational and saying, well, you heard from the police or this or that. That's not a problem. No, if it's a problem for a neighbor, they want to hear it, they want to deal with it, and they want to address it because they are good neighbors and they want to continue to be good neighbors. And they want to take whatever steps necessary so that this isn't a problem, both for the board, the town, and most importantly, for the people that abut the building and their neighbors. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's hear from Jen McCarthy.
Thank you. First of all, I want to start by thanking the police department because I have been calling them a lot, and the chief has taken a lot of time to talk to me. I'm going to call him out on a couple things in here in my speech, so bear with me here. So I'm here tonight to respectfully request that the Board of Selectmen take decisive action regarding the Bayside. Specifically, I'm asking you to vote either not to renew their alcohol or entertainment license or suspend both their alcohol and entertainment license for a minimum of 90 days until the ongoing issues in the neighborhood are fully resolved. For approximately 2.5 years since this current management company has assumed control, the quality of life for the residents surrounding the Bayside has deteriorated dramatically. Neighbors are now confronted with constant noise, public drinking, public urination, assaults, and some medical emergencies. And I do understand medical emergencies can happen wherever, but it's a small neighborhood and it's very noisy when it happens. The parking situation has become unmanageable. Their lot routinely overflows because it's a lot for 60 cars. And their venue or their website says they have the capacity for 200 people. So that's very problematic to begin with. And then the people end up parking in the private Knights of Columbus property and on streets that are clearly marked residents parking only because the town has worked with us to install more signs. In the last 2.5 years, neighbors have made, let's say, between 80 and 90 calls. There seems to be some questions. And I've come up with those numbers. I've requested all the papers for the last 2.5 years. I will gladly sit down with anybody and show you the highlighted ones that say, that it's a noise complaint or it's parking, or sometimes I feel like they're over their capacity, whatever it may be. It's not me. I don't call 93 times. There's other people in here as well. So I don't want you to think I'm the Karen of the neighborhood, but, so I will gladly sit with anybody and show you all these notes. In the last year, from December 4th till November 6th, the last time I requested records, there was 29 incidences that the neighborhood called for noise or parking or whatever it was. I did recently request the same time period for the Nahant Country Club, which I chose that function hall because it's similar, that it's in a residential area. And from December 2024 to the beginning of November, the police were not called there once for any noise or music or parking issues. And so this is where I take some offense, saying that they don't have numbers different from other function halls. The Bayside numbers are clearly very different than other function halls in our community. To me, the Ocean View is different because they're kind of over there by themselves. And that's why I looked at the country club. For the 2.5 years that this has been going on, I've emailed and spoken with several of the board and town administrators and police and fire. And the town has attempted to work with this management company to improve conditions. But I'm here to tell you tonight that the conditions have not improved. Earlier this year, the town filed a case in Lynn District Court to determine whether the Bayside Management Company was a nuisance neighbor. As I looked into this matter recently, I learned that the hearing has now been canceled. It was postponed so many times that the court finally decided to take it off its docket. My understanding is that the first postponement occurred because the manager claimed an emergency and did not appear. And it appears that pattern has continued, which is what happens here. We as a neighborhood have arranged, I can think of at least 2 meetings with the management company. And both times, right before the meetings were to occur, there was another emergency and they could not attend, or their legal counsel told them not to meet with us. So I'm calling, BS on that as well. If the management company cannot be relied upon to appear in court when summoned, what confidence can we reasonably have that they will honor agreements with you, the town, or with us, the neighbors? Their behavior suggests they will not. At this point, I firmly believe the only significant consequence, such as suspensions of their alcohol, entertainment, and business licenses, will compel any meaningful change. This management company has repeatedly offered assurances, agreed to improvements, and made promises to the town that have not been fulfilled. Their strategy is to delay and to hope that the town's attention fades while the neighbors continue to suffer. And that's exactly what is happening. Tonight, I'm asking you, our elected Board of Selectmen, to take a clear, decisive stance. Demonstrate to this management company that their ongoing disregard for the neighborhood and for the authority of your board, as well as the town, is unacceptable and will not be tolerated. You have the authority to act. I'm asking you to exercise it by revoking their, entertainment license, if it's not, doesn't seem to be the alcohol license that you're all concerned about, for at least 90 days until real enforceable solutions are developed and, more importantly, carried out. Because while they may promise soundproofing, improved parking oversight, and better management, their track record clearly shows promises almost mean nothing. And then I would like to add that their website says that they have indoor and outdoor venue space. They don't really have outdoor venue space. They have 10 feet from the seawall to a parking lot and maybe 30 feet long where they've dropped a gazebo. That's not an outdoor venue. We've never had outdoor ceremonies or anything out there. I've lived here for 23 years. One time during COVID, that management company came in front of the Board of Selectmen and they asked for permission to have one daytime bridal shower outside during COVID. And the board granted them permission for that one time. And this is where I get upset with the police and Tim's report tonight, because it's not like I sit here on a Friday night and a Saturday night and a Sunday night and a Wednesday night and say, oh, I think I'm going to be a pain in the neck. Let me call the police tonight and make up crazy noise complaints and say that, I'm being disrupted. No, I'm sitting here in my room watching my TV and I have to stop to see what's going on outside. If you want to see the videos of the noise and the car, I have them. I can certainly forward them to you. I would like to also address that, let's see. Where am I? The current management will say that they're good communicators and they're good communicating with the neighborhood. However, that has not been my experience. In the past 2.5 years, I can recall only 3 times that we've had communication from the management. One was a paper flyer placed in my mailbox last year about a neighborhood Christmas party, and it was delivered 2 days before the party. Another was a letter received in July 2024, stating that they had exciting events occurring and wanted to notify the neighborhood of what may inconvenience the neighborhood. That's those words, not mine. They're clearly saying they know that their events are going to inconvenience the neighborhood. And most recently, there was an internet post this past Monday inviting the town to yet another Christmas party. Those are the only communications I know. They are well aware that we're not happy. And I know she keeps saying, oh, I'm here all day. Come talk to me. No, you come knock on my door. You come talk to me. I'm not going to track you down. You
Jen,
already know that I'm not happy.
Jen, we're getting pretty well past the 3 minutes.
Okay.
Can we
All
wrap it
right.
up?
Yep. I just want to say some neighbors have even indicated that they're nervous to sit in the front of their house. And again, they're afraid that there's going to be violence. And I've heard from at least 3 different people. They're just waiting for gunshots to be going off in our neighborhood. And that is very sad. And I will wrap it up with that. But I would like to thank you for your time. And I hope that we can figure something out.
Okay, thank you, Jen. And it looks like we have Mr. Kenworthy.
Scott, you're on mute.
You hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I wrote a few things down, but I'm just gonna talk to everybody just off the cuff. There was some things that was said tonight. I've owned a bunch of different businesses, so I understand business. I'm not a Harvard guy, but I understand a lot of businesses, and I've owned a place of assembly. I own the World Gym on Route 1. I was the original founder of that gym for 20 years. I sold over 80,000 memberships. I'm used to dealing with a lot more people than the Bayside's ever dealt with. I had 500 people go through the front of my door before noontime every day. That's before noontime. I can tell you right now, it's what you don't know that hurts you in business. And if you're not a seasoned person, a lot of things you got to learn as you go. If you start up a new business, like maybe the Bayside did, and I'll give them that much. Give them credit. She's built a nice business there and everything else. But it's the things that you don't know, that you don't attend to, that you ignore, that are going to hurt you. And what I'm saying right now is a lot of things that was said, as far as police reports. This place, there's no way any other place in this town has had more police calls. Now, somebody that spoke earlier used a service call. That's in regards to the fire department. We're using the word any call, okay? And just like Jen said, do you think we sit here and we say, we have better things to do. Jen runs a school program. I still have my own businesses, even though I'm retired. I still have a lot of business interests. And I couldn't waste my time making one phone call. And Rob, you had mentioned something about, between, January and July, and then between July and December, as far as the amount of calls go. I made a commitment a year ago that I was going to meet with City Hall, that I was going to get a hold of everybody there, which I did. I reached out to you. We had a meeting. We tried to get the Bayside people there. The town, unfortunately, is complicit in this whole situation, whether you like it or not. The Bayside just had their lawyer there. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars myself on lawyers, so I know all about that game. If we can't get something accomplished here, my next thing is to go to a lawyer. If you're not going to protect my civil rights to be able to come here and go to sleep at night, and they can insulate that building any way they want. I'm also a licensed builder, construction supervisor, master electrician in the state of Massachusetts. I've built $100 million worth of property on my own properties. All right. I might look like, I just woke up or something, but I was Winter Hill Bank's largest commercial customer. So they're not a huge bank, but I don't know if I'm still on here. Did I lose you?
You're still there.
Okay. So I've been around the block. I don't want people. There's a thing I can tell the Bayside's lawyer. There's something in when you make a claim and you get into interrogatories called admissions. We'll do admissions. And my questions will be, is there a problem? Have you had problems with your business and the neighbors? These are all yes or no questions. So I don't want anybody to say that there's not a problem. There is a problem. It has not been solved. I did not call the police for a year because I made a commitment to reach out to the town and sit down and solve this once and for all. Okay. And we all kind of did. We were like, let's not hammer these calls. Let's just swallow our pride and not get a night's sleep and just see if we can work it out with the town. Unfortunately, you know, with all you guys' efforts, which we appreciate, you're unable to get anything accomplished, nothing. So we're still at the same place we were a year ago, but it's going to take a different tact. I'm pro-business as anybody, and I would give my shirt off my back to the Bayside, but it's a two-way street. I have to be able to sleep at night, and we have to live reasonable lives here, unless the town wants to give us some huge tax incentive to stay here, because we are not being able to live our lives, and it's not in the public interest. So let's get together and make some changes. I just heard that we got a 5-day notice for another Christmas party. Well, last year, whenever it was put in my mailbox the night before, and I was heading to my house in Maine. So I had plans. I know I've gotten other invitations to Christmas parties this year, and they're done about a month in advance. So I call that reach out was disingenuous at the least. And if you're doing this in regards to business, that's probably the worst thing you can do because you're sending a message out
Mr.
that's
Kenworthy, we're getting well past the 3-minute
okay.
mark. Can we wrap it
So,
up?
so yes, I would appreciate that if we do have a sit down. I'm not looking to hurt their business, but this is a serious situation. We have millions of dollars worth of property here that collectively here that we have to protect, and we want to be able to sleep at night, and we want the truth to be told. And we don't want to pit neighbor against neighbor. In real estate, every single property and house is different in its own characteristics. So the guy who lives 4 houses up the street from me doesn't have the same acoustics as me. So you may hear somebody going, oh, no, they're great people. They fed me, they gave me free drinks and everything else. Well, I'm not going to be bought. I'm here because if one of our neighbors has a problem, we all have a problem. And let's solve it. Let's solve it. I don't care. It's not a popularity contest. It's not a democracy. We have unique properties here that are across in the Bayside, and they can insulate all they want, okay? But if she leaves the doors open, the double vestibule doors open at night with the music blaring out of that same room, they can insulate it till the cows come home, and it's not going to help.
All right,
So
point
all that
taken.
thing about insulation's a bunch of baloney.
Very good. Thank you,
So,
Mr. Kenworthy.
thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Mr. Foljam.
Well, I took myself off mute, but I probably should have stayed muted. I just felt compelled to just add a few words, but in the context of Rob's concern of pitting neighbor against neighbor, I do have some hesitation to express myself. I have lived across from the Bayside for, I think, 28 years. I actually used to live right above where Scott's sitting right now. He was my original landlord, and I live next door to him now. I live 3 houses down from Jen. During that time, in the different eras that the Bayside has been a function hall, I can only tell you what my experience has been. And I will say that over the 20 plus years, there certainly have been times when there has been noise and disruption coming from across the street from where I live. The vast majority of that time, it's people rolling into town after the bars close between 1 and 3 in the morning, parking in the lot, looking out at the twinkling Boston skyline after they've had a few drinks, and playing their music very loud. So over my time, that has by far been the most significant and most frequent level of disruption that I've had. Now, if we want to kind of turn our attentions to the actual functions at the function hall, I would say that of the various iterations of management and ownership that have occupied that place, the current ownership is the most respectful, the most concerned about getting along with the neighbors, having a conversation than any of the other previous people who have run events there. Having said that, Scott makes a fantastic point that we're all different. Like, we all have different sensitivities to noise. We all have different sensitivities to traffic. And what doesn't bother me could very well bother him. And I have no right to kind of dismiss his concern or to dismiss Jen's concerns. But they're individuals within the neighborhood. So when you look at this situation, we have to make sure that, you know, we're reflecting the full complement of voices and perspectives. And I just think going forward, we need to make sure we do that. And I have confidence that the current ownership is such that they've demonstrated to me that, you know, if we can all just kind of calm down as best possible and just talk with each other, we can find a way forward in this. Because you know, I think we'll be okay, but we got to kind of step back, and somebody has to facilitate an honest conversation. So that's all I'll say.
All right. Thank you very much, John.
Yeah.
Looks like we have one more iPad 4. Please identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Cindy Dalby and I live on 40 Maple, so I'm in the neighborhood. And I just wanted to say, we haven't had any problems at all with this management company. A couple of years ago, they had a Christmas party and they sent out their invitations way in advance. And when I asked some of my friends in the neighborhood why they didn't go, and they said it was so early that they just forgot about it. So it doesn't bother me that they put a reminder in close to the time. If you can make it, you can. If you can't, you can't. But I have found them very nice neighbors, and not a problem at all for us. So I just wanted to say that there are people in the neighborhood who find it a problem and others who don't, and we never had a problem with them. So that's all.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Delphi. I appreciate that. And that looks to be about it as far as comments, which brings us back to the motion. So, where are we here as far as the liquor license is concerned? Are we ready to vote this? Do we have to tailor it? What's the consensus here?
So my preference would be to make that, a motion to amend the, are we just talking about the liquor license or the?
Just the liquor license for now.
Yeah, I would like to set ourselves a 90-day or March 31st. I think however that we want to do that, we can say a 90-day, subject to a 90-day review. So make a motion to add a condition to subject the license to a 90-day review. And to Dan Scripps' point, I think before I even make the motion, we make the motion formally, to Dan Scripps' point, we have that authority at any point. I think this is just as much for us as it is for them to just put a something sooner than a yearly check-in where we lose track of this. And we want to make sure that things are getting resolved amicably, if possible, sooner rather than later. So that would be my suggestion. Do we want to just make the motion and discuss it, or just discuss it a little bit further?
Chair, can I address that?
Yeah.
We can't put a condition on, the only thing we can do tonight is allow it or table it for a hearing. If we deny it or put a condition on it, or put a condition on it that's not agreed to, if they agree to that condition, we're fine. My guess is they're not going to do that. But to what you just mentioned, we can make it very clear in this meeting that that's what's going to happen on March 31st. We don't need to make a condition. We can just tell them this is what's going to happen, so no one's surprised.
But
It
we don't
doesn't
have the
need to be-
authority to put a condition on there without their agreement? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, we definitely do, but we need to give them a hearing. This is a meeting, not a hearing. A hearing is something that requires specific notice regarding the actual hearing regarding Bayside's license for renewal or application for renewal. This is just a meeting. The statute, I forget, it's 184-64, I think, requires a hearing if we're going to make any substantive changes to the existing license, and the condition will be a change, a substantive change. But we don't need to do that. We can just tell them that we're going to review this, and if we find a reason to revoke on April 1st, that's what's going to happen, and then we take it up then.
So Dan,
But-
how does that impact their ability to continue doing business? Is there any lapse as far as their current license?
Well, the current license is good until the end of the year.
Okay.
And then, so
And,
the current license is not for debate. That's
end of-
set.
End of
That's
what
not
year?
for-
End of 20,
This year.
end of,
Yeah, 14 days or whatever is left. But that's set. That's not up for debate tonight. They're only looking for their 2026 license.
right. So they'll be able to continue doing business while we do this 90-day thing?
Oh, I don't quite understand your question.
So Dan, if I can just jump in, I think what Pat is asking, he's saying that he's on board with approving the liquor license, but having
Yes.
a check-in, a formal check-in within 90 days. And it sounds
That's
like
fine.
he wants something in writing to that effect, which is that not possible, or is it
No,
possible?
that's fine. We
Okay.
can't, it's not a condition. It's we can approve it, send it to the ABCC for their rubber stamp. And then at the same time, we can send Bayside a letter saying, okay, we're approved it, but realize that come March 31st, we will be looking at this again, and we will be looking for progress. But it's not a condition. It's just basically not, I don't want to call it a warning. It's just notice, I guess you can say, notice that this is going to happen.
Okay. Patrick, you want to make that motion?
I'm just mulling over how that would be worded. So
Well, it wouldn't, the motion, it
Yeah.
should stay as it stands.
right.
And you would allow that, and then I think you can make another, after that's to make a motion that the Board of Selectmen will visit the possibility of revocation come whatever date you want, but that's a separate motion. And it would just be, it's not a condition. Their license is approved as of tonight, or renewed, I should say. And it goes to the ABCC. And then we just basically let them know that we're gonna look at this again. Now, I want to make it clear to everyone on the call that once this, if and when it's approved, anyone on this call has the ability to file their own complaint with the ABCC. There's a form and everything. If Jen doesn't like it, if Mr. Kenworth doesn't like it, and I say Jen because I've known her for 20 years, I don't mean to be informal. They absolutely can, and then they could take it up with Ralph Sacramone, who is the head of the ABCC, and make their plea there. Perfectly fine, absolutely can do it.
Dan, a little bit off point, but do they still have the ability also to file their own nuisance complaint with the courts?
They can do it tomorrow.
Yeah, we've talked about
It's
that.
not an unusual case. It's not at all an unusual case.
Yeah.
I know Mr. Kenworthy talked about retaining an attorney. It's not at all unusual case. It happens all the time.
I think we talked about that a few months back, but okay. Let's see. So if I have this right, we go forward with the motion as written, and we are already there as far as are we done with debate? Do we have all our comments as far as the Board of Selectmen?
No, no, I'm trying to put this all together. It's coming fast and furious here as to how we handle this. And Dan, this really has no teeth. This is just a warning, as you said, not a warning, but a notice. Is a notice enough to get everybody's attention?
I would think so, Gene. I mean, we're making it very clear now that we're reviewing this. We will be reviewing this at that time. So,
Well, had you not said that, I would have said if all of this comes together, we would not vote on their license and hold off for 30 days, not a cease and desist. Well, I guess it would have been.
yeah, it would be a pocket veto, as they say. It would, because the new license would take effect basically January 1st. And if we hold it off 30 days, you're what's called constructive denial.
Right.
And that would be an issue.
Okay. I'm not looking to do that, because what we can do is we can police this thing for 30 days.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
as Pat says, at the end of 30 days, we can act or react to whatever we've encountered.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One concern I have is hearing thoughts of violence taking place. And the only thing I'd be concerned with there is having a police officer there by himself on all occasions. Maybe there's some way we can have it so that at least for the 30 days, or maybe beyond that, that we require, excuse my dry mouth, that we require 2 officers there at least until we decide otherwise. Can we do that?
Gene, if
Not
I can
without it.
jump in on it, if I can just say, we're struggling to fill details as it is, requiring 2, and if we can't meet that mandate, we're going to have egg on our face. But I can't guarantee that we're going to get 2 officers there, even if the town can somehow require.
All right, I can understand that.
So can we go forward with the vote? Okay. Roll call vote.
I'm not clear on what we're voting here.
We're voting the motion as written.
Patrick, you were putting together a motion.
Yeah, so I think Dan Scripp is suggesting is that we just make a motion after we approve the licenses, we make a motion to review this particular license. I think we can discuss the timing, but I was suggesting 90 days that we formally.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Right.
That's how I understood it also.
So this
Okay.
is just passing it as written.
So once again, roll call vote.
Pat O'Reilly, aye. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Gene Canty, aye.
Rob Tibbo, aye. Motion carries. Let's see. Now we need Dan. Can you give us your advice as far as the motion?
Yeah, the motion would be for the BS to review the 2026 liquor license application for a possible revocation, secondary to the concerns expressed by the residents tonight on whatever date you select. I'll say March 31st, just because that's what Pat mentioned, March 21st, 2026. And you can say so moved, and
So
there you
moved.
go.
Seconded.
Discussion?
So I'll point out that for the Bayside folks listening, this is not a condition, because that would then trigger a hearing requirement. So that does not come into play here. It's just basically putting Bayside on clear notice that
this will be, on the agenda come March 31st or whatever meeting is around there.
I'd like to think of it as due diligence. Roll call vote.
Gene Canty, aye.
Pat O'Reilly, aye.
Rob Tibbo, aye. Let's see. Liquor license vote. We have an entertainment license vote. I'll move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve an entertainment license for calendar year 2026 to the following establishments. Nahant Knights of Columbus, 17 Relay Yard, 5 TVs, 5 musicians, DJ and pool table, jukebox. Nahant Tennis Incorporated, 280 Nahant Road, TV, live music, DJ. Atlantic Functions Incorporated, DBA Ocean View, 0 Willow Road, live music and a DJ. R&B Management, LLC, 1 Willow Road, live music, DJ, jukebox, and karaoke. Tides, Nahant, 2B Wilson Road, 10 TVs, 2 amusement devices, live music, karaoke. Victoria Hall, Bayside, LLC, DBA Victoria Hall, Bayside, 1 Southwick Avenue, live music, DJ, jukebox, live band, TV, and radio. And further, that the release of said licenses are subject to the approval of all inspections and payment of all outstanding fees, fines, and payments to the town of Nahant, and authorize the town administrator to sign the licensing authority certification form. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Discussion. Roll call vote.
Gene Canty, aye.
Pat O'Reilly, aye.
And Rob Tibbo, aye. We have a common victualler license vote. I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve a common victualler license as stands alone or in connection with a liquor license for calendar year 2026 to the following establishments. Atlantic Functions Incorporated, DBA Ocean View, 0 Willow Road. Tides Nahant, 2B Wilson Road. Nahant Tennis Incorporated, 280 Nahant Road. R&B Management LLC, 1 Willow Road. Nahant Knights of Columbus Building Association, DBA Nahant Knights of Columbus, 17 Relay Yard. Victoria Hall Bayside LLC, DBA Victoria Hall Bayside, 1 Southwick Avenue. Seaside Pizza, 149 Nahant Road. Nahant Preservation Trust, NLSS, 96 Nahant Road. And further, that the release of said licenses are subject to the approval of all inspections and payment of all outstanding fees, fines, and payments to the town of Nahant, and authorize the town administrator to sign the licensing authority certification form. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Discussion?
Yeah, just a quick question. What is the difference in a common victualler and the other 2 licenses?
I think this allows them to serve. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah, a common vic or a CV or a common vic is food, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what?
Food. And you have the tavern license, which is
Okay, yeah,
like snacks. A CV is like in hamburgers or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Gene Canty, aye.
Pat O'Reilly, aye.
Rob Tibbo, aye. We have a used car.
Rob,
Yep.
sorry, I have Jen asking if she can ask a clarifying question. Sorry, comments only come to me.
Okay. Sure, go ahead, Jen.
Thank you. I'll be quick. I'm just wondering, because the motion you made for the 90-day check-in or follow-up was just for the liquor license, and seeing that, I'm getting the impression that you all feel that they're not violating any of the liquor rules. Could I ask you to make a motion to also review the entertainment license at that point as well, seeing that it seems to be noise and things like that? I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but I just have a feeling I'm trying to cover our bases here, because I'm getting the impression, again, you're all saying it's not necessarily a liquor issue.
Jen, I think our intent here is that although we've applied the motion to the ABCC license, we are looking at it from the standpoint of it being all encompassing as far as how to possibly resolve some of the tension in the neighborhood. And that could come in many forms, obviously, such as soundproofing, windows, and that sort of thing. So we'd be looking for progress in that direction. Does that sound fair?
Yep, I just wanted to clarify that
Yeah.
because that's what I was thinking, but then,
No,
I wanted to be sure that you all don't come back in March and say, well, they're not, over serving or something, and it's a mute issue. So thank you.
Yeah, that's how I took it, and I want to make sure, Pat
Okay.
and Jean, do you agree with that?
Dan,
Yes.
should we be making another motion for entertainment or leave it right the way it is?
You can leave it. I mean, Rob's made it clear that that's part of it. There's nothing hurt. A motion wouldn't hurt, but it's not necessary.
Okay.
I think Bayside knows that, they're under a bit of a microscope. I think their counsel is under the been given notice.
All right, thanks.
Okay. We have a used car dealership license vote, and I'll move the Board of Selectmen vote to approve a used car dealer license, Class 2 for calendar year 2026 to the following: George Mastoris, DBA Seaside Auto, and Francis Burrill, DBA Nahant Garage. And further, that the release of said licenses are subject to the approval of all inspections and payment of all outstanding fees, fines, and payments to the town of Nahant, and authorize the town administrator to sign the licensing authority certification form. Do I have a second?
Second,
Discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Gene Canty, aye.
You with us, Pat?
I was muted, sorry. Pat O'Reilly,
Okay.
aye.
And Rob Tibbo, aye. We talked about the lead service lines. Town administrators report.
So I don't really have anything formal at this time. Obviously there's some holidays coming up over the next few weeks. I have a lot of staff that will be taking vacation, which is well deserved. I hope everybody enjoys their holidays as well. And I know we have some, festive things going on in town, including the Christmas parade this Saturday that I'm looking forward to. So really just wishing everybody well in the holiday season. And when everyone's back in January, the focus here will be on developing the FY27 budget and preparing for town meeting in May.
Very good.
And let's not forget Allison being sworn in on Monday.
That is an issue. Yes, we're looking forward to that.
Thank you.
3:30. 3:30,
3:30.
Allison? Or
It's 3, I believe, is what I'm being told.
You better be there.
I did
They
schedule
tell you
myself for a
3.
meeting and then I had to change it.
Allison, they tell you 3, knowing you'll be there by 3:30.
Thank you.
Okay. That brings us to citizen comment. Anybody have a comment they would like to share?
Can I just say I'd like to say thank you. I
I would
appreciate
like
you.
to say something.
Oh. Okay, thank you, Jen. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch who. Oh, Nilzelia, yes, go ahead.
Yes, I am the Bayside Management,
Mhm.
and I would like to explain something. Everything is in my power. I can do it to fix. I am doing, but I think for Scott, Jenny, and Macklin is like nothing we can do is gonna help them because all this call is coming is from day 3. And then they make a call from the light. They make a call for the angel for the car. They make a call for the parking lot. They make a call if you be here clean. Nothing I can do is gonna help them. It's like when I invite people to they come to talk to me, I'm not going to knock her door. I open the door for she come here. If it's something is bother them, they can come here and say, "Hey, Zelia, this is bother me," like other people did. And we sit down and they try to fix the situation. It's not to she pick it up, go to the city, talk to them, or call the police, because she called the police a lot. All my reports is she's be calling the police. Why she not come? She come here, she take a picture, she open her window, it make a record for the weather outside. I don't think this is fair. Everything what we try to do, it make the neighbor come together. I don't want to bother the neighbor, but also I have a business I have to run. I'm dependent on this business. I have a husband, he's a sick, he have a cancer, and the eye is only the one is work. And now she tried to make you guys stop my license. I have a full of a book. Before, it's not a lot of people come here, it's all complain. After I take the management, is a lot of people book for me because of us, because of the food, because it's the place. They feel comfortable. After that, I'm gonna lose the business. And then who is gonna pay me? Who is gonna pay these people? Is already they have a dream to have they party here. They wedding, they sweet 15, they 50 years birthday. It's a daydream. Who is gonna pay for that? That's how I would like you guys to know. It's like many times I try to minimize the situation. I go to everyone. I care about everyone live on this street. Scott is the one open the window when the people come. He say, "Don't park over there." I is the one put the sign on the street to say, "Do not park is permit for neighbor only." I did. I bought the sign, I put it on. I make it I pay for security. All the time I have security in the police detail. I put a cameras, I put a more lights to make sure everything is nice. And then she come and complain about the emergency. Was a 2 years old baby have a seizure. What you need to do, get the baby die or call the ambulance? It's not gonna have the shoot gang. Nothing is there. The people's coming here. They make a noise. They go to outside to their car. They come in here. Is nobody go stop them to talk? This is I would like it to tell you guys before everything is end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nizelia. I think we've got, the select board has a good feel for how hard you're trying to adjust your business to the point, to a point where it can work more easily with the neighborhood. And we've obviously met with the building owner, who is offering to do a lot of improvements. So, all I can say is that let's continue to work together. We've got a period of time now where the plans can be really formalized, so that the Board of Selectmen can move forward confidently, knowing that all that should be done is being done. So I only ask your patience. We're not working against you here. We want to see you be successful.
May I say something as the owner of the building, please?
Mr. Raffaelli, we'd love to hear from you.
I have concerns about the neighbors in the neighborhood, and I love to sit down with any of them to discuss the plans for the Bayside. I've been offered many, many times from many different developers to get bought out here. And I've said no because I live in town. The Bayside has 2 parties a week, maybe 1. I think that if we work together with the neighbors and the Bayside management, we could perform something that would help everybody. If Visalia fails, unfortunately, I'm going to have to sell the property and move forward, and whatever happens, happens. So I love to work with everybody in this neighborhood. I don't think it's something that we can't resolve as neighbors. I think it's very important if we all come together and work together. During snow emergencies, I let the whole neighborhood park there. I've encouraged them parking there. I think it's important for the Bayside to have the neighborhood park there. There's no parking on Jennifer Street and Scott's Street. There's not enough parking there for themselves. And I understand their frustrations. I don't think there are any parking spots available on that street on any given day. So I just don't see it being a much of an issue of them traffic going up the street or down the street. I think we should all work together as neighbors and with the town to improve this. This function hall has been there for a lot longer than all of us. And it's been a very popular spot back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. They had live bands there every day. They had music there all the time, 7 days a week. You know, right now, Azalea is just getting by 2 or 1 party a week, sometimes 0 parties. So if we can just all work together and try to maintain the neighborhood and all respect each other in their own ways. Zillah's trying to run a business. Jennifer's trying to read a book in peace and quiet. And I don't blame Jennifer, and I don't blame Scott or John or anybody in the neighborhood to have these concerns. But I think if we all come together and work together as a team, then trying to work against each other, it's very important to consider. That's all I have to say. And I hope this all works out for everyone here. Thank you.
As do we, and thank you very much. Let's see. Looks like we're going to now adjourn to executive session. I move the Board of Selectmen vote to adjourn to executive session pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 38, subsection 21A3, to discuss litigation strategy regarding Town of Nahant versus Susan and Anthony Alessi, pending in the Northeast Housing Court. If the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body, and I, the chair, do declare that an open meeting will have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body, and we will not return to open session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Debate? Any comments? Roll call vote.
Gene Canty, aye.
Pat O'Reilly, aye.
And Rob Thibault, aye. Thank you all. We will go to executive session.
Thank you, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Hey, Allison, Cola's in the waiting room. He's our trial attorney.
He's on the phone.
He is in the waiting room, he said. Let me see.
Yeah, I
if
just
he's
see a
zooming
phone
in.
number, 518. So I'm just
It,
waiting.
it ends in 0028.
Okay, yep, I see him. I'm just waiting to get everybody off first. Bring them all in the waiting room. Okay, I'm just gonna stop.